are here. We're talking about the supernatural realm, how we as Christians engage it, how it manifests itself to us, and just trying to make sense of it all with our human eyes. We did have a question to pick up from the thread from before the break from in the room here in the Radisson in Branson, Missouri. Let's see if I can back this up here regarding the blood. Animal mutilations, cattle mutilation, a phenomenon known in ufology. Is there significance to the fact that the cattle found mutilated or other livestock found mutilated are often exsanguinated, drained of blood?
They all are. They're and again, because it's not an animal that does it, because it's it's done precision-wise. So the issue is it a diversion for the sake of verifying alien presence, or is it the need for blood in the genetic issue?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the answer I usually get. But nobody's directly caught it. So this is an area that needs to be prayer-mapped and gone after.
Yeah. Another question or theory from the room here in Branson. Vampires are known in the movies that they have to get blood or they die because demons were born of flesh and blood, the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. So they are the product of flesh and blood, whereas Jesus was born of blood, water, and the spirit of a virgin. In other words, not two flesh coming together. If I see if I can make sense of that. Anyway, we'll toss that out there as just a theory. Another question here, and this will bring us back into the realm of the Nephilim, and we'll go from there and kind of get back into where the rubber is meeting the road today. If demons are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, is there a finite number, or are they reproducing, and if so, how?
Yeah, there's an interesting story about that. Mephistopheles, if I'm saying the name right, sort of the head of the demons, as it were. I was reading something not too long ago that essentially a deal was struck that the devil essentially needed 10% or whatever it was. There was a percentage of the disembodied spirits in order for him to do his work.
Like the mafia.
Yeah, well, and for whatever reason, according to that text, God allowed that. But yeah, I think there is a finite from the flood. The Nephilim that were produced prior to the flood were destroyed in the flood. So there's a finite group of evil spirits called demons that came from those that were destroyed during the flood. But it says in Genesis 6:1-4 that the giants or the Nephilim were in the land in those days and also afterward. Mm-hmm. And when you get to Numbers 13:33, it's the first mention of the post-flood Nephilim. It says that they were of the Nephilim. The Nephilim were of the Nephilim. So it's a genetic issue, at least in my mind. I know it's somewhat controversial. A lot of people subscribe to the idea of a second incursion. The angels came down and mated with women again after the flood. I don't subscribe to that. I reject that. But I have to acknowledge that the giants were in the land afterwards. So the question becomes, well, how did they get here? And my thesis says that they survived through genetics. Specifically through, I believe, the wives of the sons of Noah, at least one and probably two of the wives. Definitely the wife of Ham. If I was to say that the Scripture says that Noah was found upright, just, and righteous in his generation, the word is tamim. He was pure in his genetics. Mm-hmm. So if Noah and his wife were pure in their genetics, then it stands to reason that his three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, all three were also pure. So the only option left, there's no mention of angels anywhere mating with women after the flood. Then the only option left to us is the wives and of the sons of Noah. Mm-hmm. Now it says that the whole earth had been corrupt, and some of the extra biblical texts say that Noah got the wives for his three sons from the brother of Methuselah, a guy by the name of Eliakim. Now, all things considered, if the entire earth was corrupt, I think Noah did a pretty good job of picking from limited choices wives suitable for his sons. But you see in the lineage of Ham, especially in Canaan, it's all the ites, Amorites, Jebusites, Hittites, all the ites that were of the Nephilim. They were Nephilim of the Nephilim. So it seems to me that it passed along genetically, and that makes it a genetic issue. Mm-hmm. And so, but it would seem to me also that there has to be a spiritual component to DNA. And I don't quite know how to wrap my head around that yet, but it seems to me that there must be something there, because there's such an issue with blood all through the Bible, and there's something going on there that God accepts the sacrifice of blood, in the Old Testament with the animals and everything. There seems to be a spiritual component to DNA. I don't quite understand how it works, but I can't seem to get away from that concept, because why else is there always a need for human sacrifice in particular to open up dimensional pathways for demons to do stuff? Mm-hmm. There has to be a spiritual component to DNA. So to answer your question, I think that maybe a lesser class of demon, if I don't know if there's a potency level associated with the level of active DNA that's still working, but if Nephilim are being produced from Nephilim, then it stands to reason that when they die, that they would also produce more demons. And that would be a way, at least in my mind, for the devil to increase his numbers. Like we said earlier, he's already outnumbered 2-1 in terms of angels. Right. So how is he going to increase his numbers?
Dr. Michael Heiser suggests that the verse that you referenced, and also afterward, right, when angels went into the daughters of men, could also be translated as whenever. Mm-hmm. They went in. So there is a possibility that there was a later incursion.
Yeah, there was, but there's no scriptural evidence.
Aside from that one verse, right? Yeah.
Well, because that one verse, you can read it two ways. Mm-hmm. It says there were Nephilim in the land in those days, and also afterwards when the sons of God came into the daughters of men. Second incursion people would say the Nephilim on the earth in those days, and also afterwards when the sons of God came into the daughters of men again and again and again and again and again mm-hmm. and again. I kind of flip it and say, as a result of what happened when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, they had offspring that were Nephilim on the earth in those days and also afterwards. And I believe the text lends itself to that interpretation, but the striking lack of any mention of angels mating with humans after the flood says, we're arguing from silence there, but the two passages where it says Amos, it talks about the Amorites. Well, the Amorites were sons of Canaan, and in Numbers 13:33, it says that the Nephilim were of the Nephilim. So, it seems to me that angels aren't doing it.
Yeah, that is some interesting speculation, though, that if the Nephilim produced some hybrid Nephilim themselves, what happened to the spirits of those when they died? I mean, were they automatically condemned because they were part Nephilim, part human? I don't know. We're getting pretty esoteric. I think we can, just kind of.
But it raises some interesting questions, because if that's a form of, that's a genetic form of demon possession, if you were, because we've had some interesting debates with other people off site whether or not Nephilim can be saved, and that's extremely controversial.
Yeah.
I don't think a true Nephilim would want to get saved, because if you look throughout Scripture, they're extremely hostile to God. Mm-hmm. But we're told to preach the gospel to all creatures. So, if they're open to having the dialogue, then I would suggest they probably don't. If there's a level of genetics there, it's probably pretty minor. Because if they're even asking the question, "Hey, how do I get saved?" then they're not really Nephilim.
Well, something Rob said, brings an interesting question to mind, to me anyway. Russ, in your work with those who are demonically possessed, have you encountered ranks of demons? Are there some that, as Rob put it, more potent than others?
Sure, absolutely. Because and even whether multiple or non-multiple, there's usually more than one in every case. And when you first have manifestation, you may end up with the lighter level ones, and then the stronger ones. It seems like they push the lighter ones up to deal with. So in the early days, you get rid of one. Oh, we got rid of a demon, but then there's 5 other stronger ones in there. So when you have the other one where a person in the Scriptures get the house cleaned, what do? They go get what kind of demons they get? Even stronger ones. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think that in Ephesians 6, the Archai, the Cosmic Crowder, the Poneus Pneumaticae, the Exousia, the Spirit of God named them as different kinds. And there's no question there's rank in it, but the Greek word used for Jesus saying this kind only comes out by prayer and fasting. Well, that word is type or species. Mm. So within that whole realm of the demonic and the fallen angel, I think there are types, and some are different. And so in actual dealing with them, there's some that we've dealt with that are just, and when they want to summon, they want power demons. They'll get lesser ones, but they want ones that are very powerful. So I think there's a difference, without question. Experientially, biblically, I think there's a difference.